There's a particular frequency that some souls vibrate at, a resonance that only harmonizes when the outer world ceases its endless demanding chorus, and they're finally, mercifully alone. It's not isolation born from fear or some cosmic misalignment with existence. It's something far more ancient, something woven into the very fabric of their being, something that people addicted to perpetual motion and constant connection will never quite grasp. The profound rightness of being exactly where the universe intended you to be, doing precisely what your deepest self calls for, without the exhausting theater of pretending you're somewhere you're not. Maybe you recognize this frequency. Maybe it hums through your own atoms. That person who declines invitations not from any deficit of love for humanity, but because solitude isn't the consolation prize in some cosmic lottery. It's the grand prize itself. Before we journey deeper into this mystical territory, if you're finding these insights resonating with your own inner universe, I'd be grateful if you'd consider subscribing to our channel and hitting that like button. It helps us reach more kindred spirits navigating their own paths. And if this resonates with someone you know, sharing this video might be the small act of cosmic kindness that helps them feel less alone in their aloneness. Most people interpret the preference for solitude as evidence of something broken, some fundamental flaw in the cosmic code. They see those who choose their own company as antisocial, depressed, somehow failing at the great human game of connection, squandering their brief flicker of consciousness in this infinite universe. But the deeper psychological and even quantum truth reveals something entirely different. For those who genuinely resonate with solitude, the choice isn't about retreat. It's about alignment. It's about discovering the exact dimensional frequency where their energetic system can finally rest, where their life force can replenish rather than perpetually hemorrhage, where they don't have to contort their essential nature to match whatever frequency the collective consciousness demands in any given moment. The preference for solitude doesn't emerge because they hate the manifest world. It emerges because they've discovered that within their chosen sanctuary, they encounter their truest self, their most authentic vibration, their deepest capacity for engaging with what actually matters in this brief dance between birth and dissolution. Here's what makes externally oriented people uncomfortable, what disrupts their entire cosmology. People who prefer solitude aren't broken versions of social beings. They're operating on an entirely different energetic blueprint. They process the electromagnetic chaos of human interaction through different neural pathways. They recharge their essential life force through different cosmic mechanisms. What appears from outside as withdrawal from life often feels from inside like a return to source, a restoration of fundamental equilibrium. They maintain the performance for as long as their system could sustain it. They attended the gatherings, accepted the invitations, showed up to events their deepest self recoiled from because they absorbed the message that this is what incarnated beings do. This is how you prove you're successfully human. This is how you demonstrate you're not wasting your brief window of conscious existence. And each time they force themselves into the noise, they receive the same energetically depleting transmission. That being surrounded by other nervous systems, even ones they genuinely cherished, extracted something from them that solitude naturally restored. That the electromagnetic expenditure required for social performance left them dimmed in ways that quietude somehow illuminated again. The fascinating revelation from neuroscience is that the brain doesn't register introversion as malfunction. It processes it as a legitimate variation in human consciousness with distinct neurological signatures written into the architecture itself. Research in personality neuroscience reveals that introverted neural networks show elevated baseline activity in the frontal cortex, the cathedral of internal thought, strategic planning, and complex problem-solving. These brains are literally more activated when they're communing with their internal universe than when they're responding to the external chaos of stimuli. This isn't damage or developmental failure. It's elegant design. The human nervous system manifests in infinite configurations, each one a unique expression of consciousness itself. Some systems amplify their charge through external stimulation, through crowds and constant conversation and perpetual activity. Other systems draw their power from internal sources, from the vast landscapes of thought and the quiet cathedral of contemplation. When someone with the second neural configuration attempts to inhabit life as though they possess the first, something fundamental fractures. The system begins operating against its own essential nature, creating dissonance at the quantum level of their being. This is why people who resonate with solitude often articulate something that sounds paradoxical to those vibrating at different frequencies. I deeply love my people. I just don't need to be immersed in their energy field very often. Not because the connection lacks authenticity or depth or cosmic significance, but because the internal experience of social communion, even joyful communion, demands an energetic expenditure that requires substantial recovery time in the silence. That recovery period doesn't signal system failure. It signals the nervous system executing its precise function, returning to energetic baseline after extended external engagement, recalibrating its frequency after absorbing the electromagnetic complexity of other human fields. Psychologists label this introversion or high sensitivity, but those clinical terms fail to capture the mystical reality of the lived experience. It's not merely about preferring silence over noise or books over parties. It's about possessing an internal cosmos so vast, so endlessly fascinating, so genuinely alive with meaning that external activities must compete for your conscious attention, and most of them simply cannot measure up to the richness already present within. The mind isn't rejecting human experience or connection. It's protecting the sacred internal space where authentic thinking occurs, where creativity emerges from the quantum field, where the deep processing of existence happens in the stillness between thoughts. Here's where the cultural misunderstanding deepens, where judgment from externally oriented beings becomes most pronounced. Staying home is supposed to represent what you settle for when you cannot locate anything superior. Correct? That's the dominant cultural transmission. Home represents the default setting, the fallback position, the thing you accept when the universe hasn't delivered better plans. But for those who genuinely prefer it, home isn't the absence of experience. It's the presence of preferred experience. It's sovereignty over your immediate environment, your acoustic landscape, your stimulation levels, your temporal rhythms. It's liberation from performing any version of selfhood, except the one that exists when the witnessing gaze of others finally releases you. It's the profound freedom to synchronize with your own natural cycles without perpetually adjusting to someone else's energetic signature or expectations or social timing, without constantly modulating your frequency to harmonize with fields that don't naturally resonate with yours. Many who prefer solitude don't actually despise social engagement. That's not the core issue. They resist the relentless cultural pressure suggesting that choosing home means you're wasting your precious incarnation, that you're not fully alive, that you're somehow less engaged with the cosmic dance of existence because you'd rather read ancient wisdom than absorb the chaos of a crowded bar. They desire the freedom to choose stillness without it being interpreted through the lens of loneliness. They want activities that don't require constant performance of acceptable humanness. They want relationships where they can speak truth about their energetic capacity without it registering as rejection. They want space where their natural energetic bandwidth is recognized as valid rather than something requiring correction or expansion or therapeutic intervention. When those needs are repeatedly dismissed, when they hear "just try harder" or "just force yourself into the field," or "you'll enjoy the frequency once you're immersed in it," something shifts in their internal landscape. Initially, the psyche attempts accommodation. Perhaps I'm being too rigid in my preferences. Perhaps I should override my system's signals more aggressively. Perhaps everyone experiences this dissonance and simply powers through it. Then guilt emerges. What cosmic flaw exists within me that I cannot enjoy what the collective appears to enjoy? Then resentment crystallizes. Why cannot others simply accept that I'm operating on a different frequency? And finally, after sufficient time navigating this territory, acceptance settles in like snow. This is simply how my particular expression of consciousness manifests in this dimension. What rarely receives acknowledgement is the profound peace that acceptance delivers. Because choosing solitude transforms from this shameful secret into a simple preference, like preferring moonlight over sunlight or mountains over oceans or silence over symphony. The guilt doesn't evaporate immediately. It's been reinforced by years of cultural programming, insisting that socializing represents virtue while solitude signals dysfunction. But gradually, incrementally, the internal narrative transmutes from "I should want external engagement" to "I'm permitted to honor my authentic nature." That transmutation is cosmically significant. Psychologically, this phenomenon is called self-acceptance or authentic embodiment. The external behavior doesn't shift dramatically. What transforms is the relationship to that behavior, the internal meaning-making around the choice itself. And that transformed relationship often generates a quality of contentment that no volume of forced socializing ever provided. Not because solitude represents the universal right choice, but because it represents the honest choice for their particular configuration of consciousness. Humans are neurologically wired to conflate conformity with connection. From early development, most of us absorb the transmission that fitting the collective mold is how you establish belonging. That mirroring the majority is how you prove you're normal, functional, successfully integrated into the tribe. So when someone consistently selects differently, even when that divergent choice amplifies their well-being, their psyche often cycles through variations of the same haunting question. Am I missing some essential component of human experience? Am I fundamentally wrong about what my system requires? Should I reshape myself to match everyone else's frequency? That question carries enormous weight because it's not merely internal doubt. It's reinforced by every comment from friends noting your absence from the collective field. Every family member questioning your well-being because you appear so withdrawn from the acceptable patterns of existence. Every social media transmission showcasing others having experiences you're not pursuing. This is where internal conflict can become intense, where the spiritual crisis deepens. Because on one side exists genuine contentment, actual peace, real satisfaction with how you're channeling your life force. On the other side persists this relentless cultural message that what you're doing isn't sufficient, isn't right, isn't how consciousness is supposed to express itself in human form. The psyche struggles to hold both truths simultaneously without fragmenting. Studies on personality and well-being demonstrate that individuals who honor their authentic temperament, who structure their existence around what actually energizes their unique system rather than what they believe should energize them, report elevated life satisfaction, reduced anxiety, and stronger sense of coherent selfhood. They don't feel like they're performing an acceptable version of human life. They feel like they're actually living their life, inhabiting their one wild and precious existence with integrity. But here's the psychological and mystical truth that doesn't receive adequate attention, that gets buried beneath all the cultural glorification of packed social calendars and constant connectivity. People who prefer solitude aren't avoiding life or hiding from the full spectrum of human experience. They're living according to their authentic wiring, their unique cosmic blueprint. They're not retreating from experience. They're being exquisitely selective about which experiences actually nourish their system versus which ones merely drain their essential life force. Most importantly, they've realized that presence matters infinitely more than participation. You can physically manifest at 100 events and remain energetically absent from all of them, going through the motions while your consciousness floats elsewhere. Or you can be home alone, deeply present with whatever you're engaged in, whether that's absorbing wisdom, creating something meaningful, contemplating existence, or simply being without agenda or performance. For certain nervous system configurations, that second option is where authentic meaning actually resides, where consciousness touches something real rather than skimming across surfaces. The grief around violated social expectations fundamentally alters how the brain processes belonging itself. When you invest years attempting to inhabit a social template that contradicts your actual energetic needs, the brain becomes hypervigilant to the cost of inauthenticity, develops sophisticated detection systems for recognizing when you're betraying your own nature. It learns through repeated painful feedback that forcing yourself into situations that deplete your essential energy doesn't create genuine connection. It creates elaborate performance, a simulacrum of intimacy that leaves you emptier than you began. So choosing solitude becomes a form of existential self-preservation, not isolation or withdrawal. It's the nervous system transmitting clearly, I cannot continue expending precious life force on interactions that leave me more depleted than I started, and I cannot fundamentally alter my neurological wiring. Therefore, the only variable I can actually control is how I structure my time, my space, my energetic boundaries. Another profoundly misunderstood dimension is this assumption that preferring solitude means accepting superficial relationships, not genuinely investing in human connection, choosing comfort over the growth that only relationships can catalyze. The reality often manifests as precisely the opposite. It means investing deeply, almost sacredly, in fewer relationships rather than scattering your finite energy across many. It means choosing depth over breadth, quality over quantity. It means recognizing that for certain consciousness configurations, genuine depth requires spaciousness, and spaciousness requires substantial time alone to process, to integrate, to metabolize what you've experienced in communion with others before returning to absorb more. As children, many who prefer solitude learned adaptive strategies for surviving in an extrovert-designed world. They attended birthday parties despite the overstimulation triggering actual physical distress. They participated in group activities despite their entire system crying out for solitary play. They absorbed the message that their natural preferences represented problems requiring correction, flaws needing to be trained out of them. As adults, they finally possess the agency to name what they actually need, to articulate clearly. I function optimally with more solitude than the statistical average requires. To recognize this isn't pathology or developmental arrest or something demanding therapeutic intervention. It's temperament. It's how their particular expression of consciousness operates in this dimension. naming that temperament transforms everything. What was once internalized as something is fundamentally wrong with my configuration transmutes into this is how I'm designed, and that design is valid. That shift carries enormous power, genuine liberation, because once you cease fighting your own essential wiring, you stop hemorrhaging massive quantities of energy, attempting to be someone you were never meant to be. That clarity creates space for a crucial question. Do I structure my existence around my actual needs, or do I continue attempting to meet expectations that were never designed for my particular nervous system configuration? Neither option carries objective moral superiority, but one creates chronic depletion while the other generates sustainable peace. One forces you to swim against your natural current, while the other lets you flow with it. Here's something rarely acknowledged in mainstream psychology or spiritual discourse. People who prefer solitude are often profoundly thoughtful, operating at depths most people never access. They notice subtle patterns invisible to those moving rapidly across the surface of experience. They process what happens to them more thoroughly than those who quickly transition from one stimulation to the next, which is precisely why they require time alone. Shallow processing doesn't demand recovery time. Deep processing does. People who skim surfaces can attend event after event without depleting their core reserves. People who absorb fully, reflect comprehensively, and integrate what they experience into their evolving understanding of existence require space between inputs. The very depth that renders someone insightful also makes constant external engagement unsustainable. That need for processing time doesn't diminish after they accept their preference for solitude. It simply stops being pathologized, stops being treated as evidence of dysfunction. Many redirect that quiet time into pursuits carrying genuine meaning for them. Creative projects, intellectual exploration, skill development, spiritual practices, mystical contemplation. Not because they're avoiding human relationships, but because the fundamental human need for meaning exists independently of social frequency. Meaning, for certain souls, emerges more readily in solitude than in company, reveals itself more clearly in silence than in noise. From a psychological standpoint, this phenomenon is called intrinsic motivation or autotelic experience. Engaging in something for its own inherent value, not for social approval or external validation. The consciousness structures its time around what feels genuinely engaging rather than what appears impressive to the witnessing collective. Interestingly, people who fully embrace solitude often cultivate richer internal landscapes than those constantly seeking external stimulation. They become more self-aware, more intimately acquainted with their actual thoughts and feelings, rather than merely reacting to external provocations. More capable of generating their own internal experience without requiring constant input from other nervous systems. Not more isolated, more autonomous, more sovereign. They don't require other people to fill supposedly empty time because their time doesn't register as empty. It feels full, just in an entirely different way than externally oriented people's time feels full, operates on a different frequency of fullness altogether. But there exists one dimension of this experience that can feel genuinely difficult, that carries real pain. The loneliness that emerges not from being alone, but from feeling fundamentally misunderstood by the world you're moving through. Even when solitude represents the right choice, even when it delivers genuine peace and alignment, it can feel isolating to have that choice constantly questioned, minimized, pathologized, treated as something requiring intervention or correction. Because our collective culture doesn't offer much validation for those who prefer their own company. Countless messages celebrate social butterflies, overflowing calendars, massive friend networks. Far fewer messages transmit. It's perfectly valid to live a quiet existence, to prefer your own energetic field, to discover fulfillment through pathways that don't involve constant human interaction. So people who prefer solitude sometimes grieve quietly, not for the supposedly vibrant social life they're missing, but for the acceptance they wish existed, the cultural permission to say simply, "I'm staying home tonight," without it being interpreted as depression or avoidance or antisocial pathology. Just a straightforward preference requiring no explanation, no justification, no defensive reasoning about why you're choosing to honor your own nature. Sometimes they wonder if their preference is cosmically valid, if perhaps everyone else is correct, and they're missing some essential component of human experience by not forcing themselves into the collective field more frequently. But psychology and mystical wisdom suggest something different. Sometimes staying home represents the most honest way to honor your unique wiring, the most authentic way to respect the particular expression of consciousness you embody. Not every personality is designed for constant external engagement. Not every fulfilling life appears social from outside observation. That doesn't make anyone wrong or broken or spiritually deficient. It makes them different, and difference is how consciousness explores its infinite possibilities. People experience energy through different channels. They process stimulation through different pathways. They discover meaning in different territories of experience. Sometimes those differences are profound enough that attempting to live like someone else creates chronic stress that no amount of social connection can offset. There exists a pervasive myth that growth requires constantly pushing beyond your comfort zone, that staying home too frequently means you're stagnating, remaining safe, not challenging yourself adequately. But growth often means something entirely different for those who resonate with solitude. It means learning to trust your own needs, even when they contradict cultural expectations. It means developing the confidence to structure your existence around what actually works for your unique system rather than what you've been told should work. It means distinguishing between genuine growth opportunities and activities that simply deplete you because someone else's value system deems them important. That kind of growth, the internal kind that unfolds quietly in the spaces between external validation, is often more sustainable, more authentic, more aligned with your actual evolutionary trajectory than the kind that emerges from forcing yourself into situations your nervous system never wanted in the first place. The psychology of people who prefer solitude isn't fundamentally about avoidance. It's about alignment. The alignment between how they're wired and how they choose to live. The alignment between their authentic needs and their daily choices. The alignment between what genuinely brings them peace and where they direct their precious life force. Perhaps the most important truth of all is this. Most people who prefer solitude invested years attempting to be more social, more outgoing, more like everyone else, more aligned with the dominant frequency. They genuinely wanted to enjoy parties and crowds and constant plans, wanted to feel energized rather than drained by these culturally celebrated experiences. But choosing solitude wasn't a failure to successfully perform socialness. It was the profound discovery that their version of a full life looks dramatically different from the one culture relentlessly promotes, the one that gets celebrated in every commercial and movie and social media post. And that difference, once fully accepted, once integrated into your sense of self, changes everything. Creates space for a life that's quieter than the world expects, fuller than it appears from outside observation, more aligned with your actual nature than anything you could achieve through constant performance. Not wrong, not broken, not missing out, Just deeply, courageously, beautifully honest. Thank you so much for watching this exploration of solitude and the psychology of those who resonate with it. If this video spoke to something in your own experience, I'd be truly grateful if you'd subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us continue creating this content and reaching others who might need to hear these perspectives. Please consider leaving a like if this resonated with you, and share it with anyone in your life who might benefit from this understanding, whether that's someone who prefers solitude themselves or someone trying to understand a loved one who does. I'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Do you resonate with preferring solitude? How have you navigated the cultural expectations around social engagement? What has your journey towards self-acceptance looked like? Let's continue this conversation together. Every comment, every shared experience helps build a community where people who move through the world differently can feel less alone in their aloneness. Until next time, honor your frequency, trust your wiring, and remember that your way of being in this world is valid exactly as it is.